So, all right. Welcome everyone to another Wicked Smart webinar. If this is your first time here, my name is Andy Bontz. We've been doing the Wicked Smart webinar since about March of last year to help bring resources and experts and just content that can help you solve problems as business owners and as marketers from experts all around the world. We've had experts from London, we've had experts from Australia, from Canada, and all over the United States. Mike, our expert today, is hailing from Carbondale, Illinois, so right in the central of the Flatlanders there. Today, we're going to talk about how to create your most profitable marketing message. And if you've been on the last few Wicked Smart webinars, you will notice a trend. We've been very focused on message first, message first, message first, because the one thing that will never change is how important your message is. The things that will always change is the tools and tactics and the latest shiny object in marketing. And as marketers, we love them, but as business owners, you probably hate them because you feel pulled in a dozen different directions. Today, I hope you leave with a little bit more of a simple approach to structuring your marketing campaigns, because a message first is very similar to a strategy first message. And I love that. I'm a very strategy first person. And I'm all about that. I do love myself a good shiny tactic though, which, can get you in trouble. All right, so a little bit of housekeeping today. Important information. You will get the recording for this. You will get the slides by mid-afternoon tomorrow. So look for that in your email. It'll show up automatically. If you have questions or have feedback or want to chime in, you can certainly raise your hand and I can unmute you if you want to talk through it. In fact, we welcome that. We love a good dialogue. If you want to be shy and put it in your chat box, I can read that and Mike can answer your question as we proceed throughout. We'll also save about 5, maybe 10 minutes at the end for questions. So we want this to be a dialogue. If you want to chat with us, we would love to chat with you. So for all the social media, for the marketer and me, please follow us, Midwest Family, on YouTube. If you type us in there, you'll see all of our previous Wicked Smart webinar episodes. So you can catch up on what's good and what we've been talking about. If you do get value out of it today, I do ask that you subscribe, like, comment, share the content on your social media so we can get our faces up the YouTube algorithm, because that would be fantastic. We are on LinkedIn, so connect with us on there. The Midwest Family of Companies is kind of like the mothership of Midwest Family. We have 8 locations across the Midwest. Midwest Family of Companies is our big mama company. So if you are on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, if you catch a good quote or something you want to share, here are our branded hashtags. So I would love it if you utilize those when you share the episode and going forward. So without further ado, I do want to introduce our amazing speaker, Mike Slover. He's the author and CEO of Strategy Wizard Marketing. Today he's going to talk about how to create your most profitable marketing message that we went to. Mike is the author of Strategy Wizard, How to Make Lovable Local Marketing for Bonk'n Good Business. He's worked with small businesses across Canada, Australia, and in the US. He's worked with companies you've probably heard of, like Sony, Canon, GoPro, Cabela's. He's even worked created a TV show that's won 3 Telly Awards. So we are excited to have him here. These will be the main bullet points he'll talk through. You've seen these on the website, so I won't go over those. I'm going to stop the share and let Mike take over and get us going.
All right. Thank you so much, Andy. And I'm so glad you talked about the message at the beginning and shiny objects and shiny stuff, because my goal and my hope for the end of today's session is that you completely understand that it is all about the message. And hopefully what you'll learn is when you can craft a message that people really care about, it doesn't really matter where you put it, it will work, right? The only thing you're going to have to ask is, how do I reach the most amount of people with this message for the least amount of money? So that's my hope for today, is that you you realize the kind of nuts and bolts to creating a great, awesome selling strategy or selling message, or however you want to say it. So thanks for the introduction. And I would like to share my screen now. So just go ahead and share, Andy. Go for it. Ready for that?
Get her done.
Okay. Here we go. All right, let me just let me get this down and up and open. So how to create your most profiting marketing message. And the first question that I always ask is, why are you here and what are you trying to make happen? Why did you log on and get this message from Andy and say, yeah, I want to check that out. I want to be there. For what reason? Why are you here? And what are you trying to make happen? If you can, put it in the chat window or just write it down so that you've got it. And look at it and say, why am I here? What am I trying to get out of this presentation today? Write that down. And then say, so what? And then look at it again. So what? So what? Say, so what 3 times. And you'll usually come down to the main reason that got you here. And why I want to know that information is because I want to know what you're trying to make happen. Because if I know what you're trying to make happen, then I can try to give it to you better. So write that down. It'll be useful at the end of this presentation. Anything in this presentation, you can get my book online on Amazon. If you find something that you really want to drill a little bit deeper in, you can check it out there. So what do you think would work better? The brilliant execution of a flawed strategy or the flawed execution of a brilliant one? Well, in business, it's the flawed execution of a brilliant strategy that usually wins the day. That means, again, we craft a strategy that's really a no-brainer, and it works. It can work on any shiny object that you put it on. So where do you find a brilliant strategy? Well, you go back to the very basics of Ivan Pavlov. You may know who Ivan is. Ivan is the guy that had the dog. What Ivan would do is he would ring a bell and he would offer the dog meat paste or meat, depending on which story you've heard. The consistent and frequent ringing of the bell and offering the dog meat created an involuntary response in the dog. The dog started salivating to the sound of the bell because the dog knew that there was something good that was coming for the dog. So the question is, there's really only one thing I know about strategy. What's the meat in the heart of your dog? What matters enough that all people will tell other people about you? What is that? We need to figure that thing out. And it's really that simple. But we sort of we make it too complicated. And if we would just go back to the basics, what's in it for me? No one really cares about you or your business. They only care about themselves. And if we can think in their terms, we're halfway on our way to creating a strategy that's going to work. And the problem is that every business owner is on the inside looking out, and what they see is entirely different from what their customers see. The customers are on the outside looking in. So most customers, most marketing people even suffer from what we call the inside the bottle syndrome. It's hard to read the label when you're stuck inside of the bottle. It's hard to see you and your business is real, but everybody else from the outside can't. And I think it's mostly because you're in business to make money. What you're trying to make happen, most people tell me, is I'm here to make money. At the end of the day, they're trying to make more money for themselves. And we get into that mind frame, and we have to look at it from the outside. Growing a business is easy when you have a strong selling strategy. Good strategy always starts with the customer. Bad strategy is about the business owner, or anything other than the customer. So what's in it for the customer? You may have heard that phrase before, but it's very important, and you have to keep that in your mind the whole time that you're crafting a message that's going to work. See here, we're going backwards in time. So the felt need is what we're really talking about. A felt need is a desire in the heart of the customer. To speak to an unfelt need is to answer a question that no one is asking. Every strategy fails because they're always asking things that no one they're answering questions that no one is asking. So selling strategy. These are the keys. What matters to the customer? What's the benefit to the customer? How does a customer buy? How does a customer prefer to be sold? What could you do your competitors couldn't or wouldn't do? And if there was one thing you could do that your competitors would think you were nuts for, what would it be? Let's do that thing. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So the first thing that you'll ask is, what are the defining characteristics of my business? And what are the defining characteristics of the customers? And a defining characteristic is an unusual feature or distinguishing element that's used to shape the identity of the business and, again, the customer. Learn those things. What defines the shape of your customers, how they prefer to buy, what defines the shape of your business. Jot that down on a note piece of paper so that you have it down on paper and you can look at it and you can go back to it and you can massage it and you can really lay it out. And then you ask, what are the objections? What objections do customers have for not doing business with you? You know what their defining characteristics are. What are the objections for not doing business with you? What objections do customers have for your industry? Is there a stigma in your industry? If we can find that and we can write that down and we can uncover that, now we have a chance to hold that and change the whole category and become mega big. We can franchise an idea like that if we can figure it out. Do people not do business with you? This is the question that you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, do people not do business with you because they don't know about you or because they do know about you? That's the, look in the mirror moment. So limiting factors. A limiting factor is anything that's holding you back. What is holding you back from what you are trying to make happen? What I asked at the very beginning of this, what are you trying to make happen? What's keeping you from getting there? Write those things down. They're incredibly important. What's limiting you from your growth? What anchor is slowing you down? What's getting in your way? And then just remove the limiting factor. You look at it and say, how can we change this thing? But you can't change something that you don't first identify, that you don't first get out and put on a piece of paper and have in front of you and know that it's there. Then you ask, do I have any unleveraged assets? And an unleveraged asset is an ace you forgot was up your sleeve. It's something your business probably has already that you just don't know about. Whenever I was the vice president of marketing for a company called Campbell Cameras, they marketed to the outdoor fishing and hunting industry. They sold cameras and camera equipment. We had a lodge that could house about 50 people that just sat empty about 9 months out of the year. And I said, the defining characteristics of our clientele is they wanted to learn how to run a camera and they wanted their own outdoor television show. They wanted like a hunting or fishing television show. But the problem was their limiting factor was they didn't know how to use it. The company that I worked for had their own TV show. We were already on television. We already knew how to negotiate with people to get on TV. We already knew how to shoot the television show. We already knew how to produce it. We sold the camera equipment. The asset was the lodge sitting there empty 9 months out of the year. I said, my gosh, because of our defining characteristics of our customers and our company, we've got to start a video school. So we started our first video school, and I think we charged something like $1,800 to come for 3 days. And I think we sold 22. People came from all over the country, even from Canada. When I left, I had Campbell Cameras set up. I drew out a plan that we would make about $350,000 extra dollars of almost pure profit by leveraging an asset that was there that we didn't know about, right? Your business probably has one of these assets that you're sitting on right now. You just don't know. You just haven't took a flashlight out and started looking for it. So what unleveraged assets do you have? Okay. And I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking, well, my business is different. I hear all these little things that you're talking about, but my business is different because I hear that all the time. And I expect that on every single client that I build a strategy for. I know that they're either going to say it or they're going to think it. And these are the principles that are universal. So a DUI lawyer, can a DUI lawyer have a strategy? It's like, from the outside, you'd be like, oh, heck, he can't use this stuff. He's a DUI lawyer. Okay. Well, my partner, Roy Williams, had a DUI lawyer. He had a 5 frequency in his market, which means that a large percentage of the market heard his message 5 times a week. He was doing about, I think it was 1.4 million a year. And he hired Roy. He wanted to take his business to the next level. And I'm sure that he hired Roy and he thought Roy was going to make him some magic ads. He's going to make some awesome creative, and this creative is going to make this thing work. And he's going to blow his business up from 1.4 million. Well, that wasn't what was going on here. So he's doing 1.8 million. So Roy found out that this particular lawyer was charging $5,000 to take on a DUI case. And what would happen is people would call this lawyer and say, hey, yes, I would like to know how much you charge for a DUI case. And then they would tell them how much it was. And they'd say, okay. And they'd hang up. And then they'd go find a friend of a friend that had it done for like $1,200. And they'd hire that person. But a DUI is not a traffic offense. It's a criminal offense. And you could go to prison or jail for a DUI. It's serious business. So what's the limiting factor? If you know what if you think you know what the limiting factor is, put it in the chat box or write it down and tell me what you think is limiting this DUI lawyer from growth, right? Put it in the chat or write it down, because it will be not much different than the problem that you may struggle with. So what they found out is the price was the problem. The $5,000 was the problem. Roy suggested that they offer in-house financing. Let's finance it, and the lawyer balked and he said, no way, nobody will pay me, I'll go broke. And he said, dummy, you're a lawyer. If anybody's going to pay anybody, it's you. So that the lawyer agreed to it, to do in-house financing. And in 12 months, by not really changing the advertising, but changing the internal message, he went from 1.8 million to 4.6 million in 12 months with the right selling strategy. See, does that make sense? He had a limiting factor, and he also had an unleveraged asset. He was the unleveraged asset. I think something like 98% of the people pay the lawyer back and 0.2% don't. And that's it. But that strategy, just giving people what they need, solving their problem, solving a limiting factor, overcoming it with kind of the obvious. Really, most people, when I ask this, they say, well, how do you get over that? Well, you make more better creative, and you make him sound like he's a better lawyer, and he's more skilled, and this and that and the other. That's what almost every single person says that. And it's absolutely the wrong thing. You're still faced with $5,000 that most people just can't pay, and they know somebody else. So very big, very important. So what's the offer? If you don't feel like a person would be an idiot not to follow up, then don't do the offer. Guarantees. What about guarantees? You may have heard of a company called Zappos. Zappos was founded in 1999. They exceeded 1 billion in sales in 2008. And I'm not sure about you, but even in 2008, I wasn't completely comfortable giving my credit card over the line, especially for a pair of shoes. So I don't know if they're going to fit. I don't know if they're going to look right when I put them on. How are you going to go broke, Zappos? You're nuts. You're going to go broke. Well, that was a limiting factor. You can't try them on. You can't, it's not there. I don't feel comfortable. They offered, if you bought shoes from Zappos, I think they still this way, they would give you a 365-day money back guarantee. You could order them, try them on. You could wear them for 364 days. Return them on the 365th day and get your money back. Shipping paid both ways. And most people say you're gonna go broke. People will take advantage of you. All this, that, and the other. And yes, there's a small percentage when you have a really good selling strategy like this that's called the knucklehead factor that will take advantage of you. And you have to sort of account for it or budget for it. But because you've overcame the objection and it's so compelling, mass amounts of people will do business with you, and a small percentage of the population will take you up on the offer, and you'll pay a little bit, but you just have to get over that problem with the 365-day money back shipping both ways. So that is sort of the nuts and bolts of creating a selling strategy. Now I'm going to teach you a technique that can absolutely revolutionize your industry, because it's already been proven to revolutionize other industries, that I call business problem topology. And basically, King Solomon once said, "What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun." So the problem that you have today has already been solved somewhere. You just have to go find out where it was solved at and apply it to your category. All right, I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, a smart man makes a mistake, learns from it, never makes that mistake again. A wise man finds a smart man and learns from him how to avoid that mistake altogether. Those are the words of wisdom from John Young. So I'm going to tell you or suggest to you, you be the wise man. Learn from somebody else that's already made the mistake to learn how to avoid it altogether. Step one on business problem topology. Find a parallel but unrelated business who has a problem with similar, remember, defining characteristics to the problem for which you would like to develop an innovative model. And again, remember I said parallel problem, not parallel industry. So if we're in one category, we're not looking at what our neighbors in the other category are doing and try to apply the same thing. We're looking outside of the category, not in ours, but somebody else's that has similar defining characteristics. Look at how the parallel but unrelated business overcame that obstacle. Adapt their proven technology to your own business category. Simple as that. So first question will be, what is my sword and stone? And when I say sword in the stone, it's what am I trying to make happen? It's the question I asked you at the very beginning of this presentation. What am I trying to make happen? The focal idea. It's the axis around which all else revolves. It's tied to your core values. Second question you'll ask is, what's my limiting factor? And then, do I have any blind spots? So can somebody else see something that I can't see from outside of the bottle? And then you search a business category. And a lot of times it's just as easy as this. Put all these little categories in front of you. You know what your problem is, and then go, fencing, furnishings, plastic surgery, a veterinarian clinic, vitamins. You can go on and start conjuring ideas. When you know where you want to go, when you know what you're trying to make happen, you know where you want to go, probably in some form or fashion, any category has something that you can adapt to your category and change and overcome what your problem is. So Henry Ford, you probably know who Henry Ford is. Some people think he invented the first automobile. He did not. Gottlieb Daimler and Carl Benz did in 1886. 2,000 automakers were making cars out of their garage before Henry Ford came along. And Henry Ford heard about his sword in the stone was to sell automobiles for $795. That's what he was trying to make happen. He wanted to be able to make it affordable for the everyday guy. And he heard about a meat packing plant up in Chicago that could literally take a pig from oink to package in under 2 minutes. The pig is oinking and he's in a package in under 2 minutes. Henry said, how do they do that? So he had to know. He boarded a train and he went up to the Swift meatpacking plant up in Chicago, and he witnessed the disassembly line. He saw the overhead rail take the carcass. He saw one person whack off a piece, one person whack off another, and go from oink to package in under 2 minutes. And he basically reverse engineered the meatpacking industry to bring you the assembly line. And in 1908, Ford Motor Company introduced the Model T for $850, selling nearly 15.5 million by 1920 for as low as 280 bucks. So revolutionize the world, basically change the world by using business problem topology, but also using all of those things that I taught you before this. You know, the limiting factor, the defining characteristics, objections, all that stuff, unleveraged assets. He had a mind like that, you know, and that's how the assembly line came. The Clockworks Company, they've changed many names, but they are in the home services category, and a lot would, well, heating and air, whenever it was the Clockworks Company, they were the ones responsible for always on time or you don't pay a dime. So the problem in the industry was, and it's with almost every service category, is people don't show up. You know, they're never on time. You know, you could call a heating and air guy and they might not show up for a couple of weeks if they even show up. You know, so there was a problem. There was a problem with the category. There was a big deficiency, and basically they said, well, how do we overcome this? And they said, well, always on time or you don't pay a dime. You know, if we're not there within the hour we say we are, the service call is free. Do you guys remember who was doing that way back then? Who had already done that, and who was doing that? Like if you ordered something and it wasn't there within an hour, it was free. You guys remember? Put it in the chat or write it down. Yeah, Domino's. Until somebody like one of their delivery guys ran somebody over, and they had to chuck that idea. You know, it's like, we can't do that anymore. But it solved a felt need in the heart of the customer, is that when I call, somebody should be here when they say they're going to be here. You know, business problem topology. Then the only other question is, if you come up with a strategy, how deep and wide is it, right? I mean, is it lemon Oreo cookies or is it regular Oreo cookies, right? I mean, lemon Oreo cookies are pretty small, but the regular Oreo cookies have mass appeal. And nothing has to be set in stone. You can always conduct experiments. Use all of this to create your selling strategy and come up with something new and innovative and change the world. But nothing is ever set in stone. You're always experimenting until you get it right. Morris Height once said, this is many years ago, if you have a good selling idea, your secretary can write your ad for you. So basically what that means is what Andy alluded to at the very beginning of this is, if you have the right message, doesn't matter who writes it or where you put it, it's probably going to work. So in a recap off of how to build a selling strategy, what are you trying to make happen? What are the defining characteristics? What are the limiting factors, objections? Do you have any unleveraged asset? Can you use business problem topology? And they're all tied to that sucker in the middle, the felt need. If you don't have the felt need in the heart of the customer, then this whole thing will just fall apart and it won't work. Now I want to show you, got about 10 minutes left. I want to show you a technique that I created called the strategy diamond. And I don't know about you, but several years ago, there was this really crazy election going on. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. There's been like way too many different catastrophic things that have happened since then. But there was this weird thing, you know, that was called, I think, the 2020 election. And I was watching the news, and a politician was saying on the news that when the president got into office, no matter how many campaign promises the president promised, there was only about 3 or 4 things that the president could accomplish in the president's whole term of office. Like, that's the only bandwidth that the president has, is to accomplish 3 or 4 things. So that got me to thinking about a technique that I call the character diamond. And it's basically a template that's in a diamond. I thought, and the character diamond is about how to make a brand likable, bondable. And if you guys want to see that presentation, get with Andy and I can show you that at some other time. But I kind of use business problem topology to create the strategy diamond. And what I came up with was every strategy and every business needs one core identity, right? So what's the one big idea that your business was founded on? What is that? What does that look like? This is a gas station. Again, how can a gas station have a strategy? This is called Millencourt Petrocana, out of Canada, and Scott Fraser owns it. And I talked to Scott Fraser. We talked about his gas station, and what I realized was that Scott's gas station was kind of like an old time service station. It doesn't look like an old time service station, but they self-service, they do your windows, they check your fluids, everything that an old time gas station would do, they do. And that's really kind of the heart and soul of who they are. So that was their one big idea. But then what thing to a selling strategy? What's the East quadrant? And that's differentiation. So once you have your one big idea, how do you differentiate your business based off of that one big idea? So one big idea, how do you differentiate and stays within the one big idea? Well, with the gas station, they still give away free air. And they have a little tagline that says the way it should be. Everybody gave away free air way back in the old days, like an old gas station does. So they're staying within the one big idea of who they are. The South quadrant, to make a strategy interesting, has to have employ some type of vulnerability. And I'll go back again to courageous offer. I'll go back again to Zappos, because I think Zappos got all kinds of things right. The 365-day money back guarantee was a courageous offer. The lawyer in-house financing was a courageous offer. What type of courageous offer can your business have that can make up your strategy diamond? Put that down, write that down. The West side of your strategy diamond has to have some type of unexpected delight factor. And again, Zappos, when you would order from Zappos, you'd order online, you click in your order, you'd hit submit. The next day, they would upgrade your shipping to overnight, and you wouldn't pay it for extra shipping, but it would be there. You'd look out on your porch and there's a box from Zappos. How can you not like this company? Automatically they made a bond because they didn't tell you it was going to be there the next day. What can you do in your business that you surprise people unexpectedly? Don't put it in your advertising. Don't put it in any of your marketing pieces. Just give it to somebody and surprise them unexpectedly. That's the unexpected delight factor, always hidden from your advertising campaign. So that is the strategy diamond. One big idea. And I do this with every single client. We try to figure out what's the one big idea. How do we differentiate this business based off of the one big idea? How many different ways can we differentiate this based off of that core identity? And then what courageous offer that can we have that's usually filling a limiting factor that the whole industry has. And again, if we can figure that out, we've revolutionized the industry, and we can franchise it, and that's how we can really make a lot of money with the selling message. And then how do we give somebody an unexpected delight factor? Using business problem typology. I will show you, we've got about 6 minutes. I'll have to go through this fairly quickly, but I want to show you a real world example of a strategy diamond that I made for a past client. They were called Incredible Packaging out of New York. It was a brand new business. Their big idea was packaging products for small retail stores and shops. Like, okay, how they differentiated was 80-pound paperweight, low minimums. Like, okay, it's pretty weak. Didn't have a courageous offer. What about the unexpected delight factor? We didn't have an unexpected delight factor. So that was the kind of strategy that we started with. And it's like, boy, this doesn't look good, and just lo and behold, I happen to have been getting some stickers for my business online, and I found a company called Sticker Mule. And I typed in search and I found some sticker places, and Sticker Mule popped up, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And I went to Sticker Mule and I had a great experience. So I dissected their selling strategy, and this is what I interpreted. Their big idea was to be the internet's favorite printer and to make it easy to order stickers by making it easy to order stickers, really. That was their one big idea. How did they differentiate based off of that main idea? They gave sample orders at low cost. Easy. It was easy. I mean, most places don't let you have a sample order. They make you buy a whole bundle of things, and you're like, yeah, I don't really want to spend, $1,000. How am I going to know that I like them? So that was a limiting factor and an objection that they overcame by differentiating. They had fast turnaround days. One problem with the internet is, well, how long is it going to take to get me back? 4 days. I can live with 4 days. Free online proofs. Man, that makes it, again, easy. Free artwork help. Easy. Again, easy. What's the courageous offer? They had free shipping. I like that. That's good. 4-day turnaround is also a courageous offer. If they would add, if you don't get it in 4 days, we'll do this, would be even better. If they said that it was free, would probably be even stronger courageous strategy offer. What unexpected delight factor? Within 5 minutes, somebody returned my email. I was shocked. And I felt delighted. 24-hour service. You could get on there anytime, and in 5 minutes, somebody's going to get back with you. There was a thank you card in the package. And I was like, that's great. So this was Sticker Mule's strategy diamond as I extrapolated. I thought, man, there's some things that we could use with this packaging company. This is the thank you card. They encourage some social sharing on there, and they sent me these free stickers, again, unexpected. That's the sticker that they made for me. And these were the recommendations based off of business problem topology for incredible packaging. One big idea, I was okay with packaging products for small retail stores and shop. How do we differentiate? 3-day turnaround on custom work. Can you do it? Yeah, they could do it. They had an unleveraged asset. The parent company actually does stuff for like big stores, big retail stores like Hallmark and gosh, who were some, not Walmart, but stores like that, so they had a leverage of a big, mom mothership there, 24-hour turnaround on non-custom work. We can do that. No minimum orders, all orders, bulk rate prices. Not sure if they could have did it, but I offered it. Free shipping, some kind of guarantee on non-custom. Unexpected. Can we do 5-minute response to emails for a packaging company? Thank you cards. Yeah, sure. And then some kind of added freebie that we put in there, like a couple sample bags thrown in, and that'll encourage people to buy other bags. So this is the strategy. How different does this strategy look than the one that we had prior? Isn't this one much more compelling? I mean, isn't this like night and day from where we started? And we used some business problem topology with Sticker Mule. We just borrowed some ideas that worked in their category, and we just sort of, applied them to this category. And I think we have probably a 10 or 20 times better strategy using these techniques. So that is the strategy diamond. This is where they are now. They didn't do everything that I suggested, but this is what their strategy diamond looks today, right here. So much more incredible. This is how you make big things happen. This is how you make a marketing message that works. And like Andy said at the beginning of this thing, it doesn't matter. The message is the king. And if you get the message right, you can put it anywhere and it's going to work. So that's all I got. Thank you all for being a friend.
Awesome, Mike. So if you have a question, you can either raise your hand if you want to talk through your camera. We have about, I don't know, time for maybe one, maybe two quick questions. Or you can add it to the chat box if you want to go that route. That'd be great. And if Mike, if you could stop sharing your slides there so I can take over, that would be fantastic.
Sure can.
Thank you, sir. So Mike, so you shared a lot. where do people, I mean, when you're working with a client, I mean, what is one quick aha moment that, you can leave people with today? Like, maybe one thing, hey, do this one thing today. Right now, this is fresh. And what would that one thing be to the people that attended today?
Have courage. It's all about courage, man. I mean, that is the thing that gets in people's way. You got to have courage, and you've got to try to experiment with things. You got to be willing to experiment, and have courage, man. I mean, that's how people get from where they are today to where they want to go, is by getting out of their own way and having courage. You cannot help somebody that doesn't have courage.
Awesome. I love that. And if you want to dive further in this subject, go ahead and jump on Amazon and buy Mike's book. I'm sure you can follow him. Where's your go-to social media channel for them to follow you, Mike?
They can find me on Facebook.
Facebook? Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead and follow Mike on Facebook. Pay attention to what he's got going on. I think one of the things that kind of spoke to me, it was there's a gentleman I follow, his name's Russell Brunson, but he talks a lot about every marketing message need to have a hook, a story, and an offer. And I think the one thing that marketers try to solve it is just a hook and a story. But if there isn't a good offer, it makes everybody's job harder. So the fact that you put the emphasis on the offer and developing that offer, that differentiator, it really makes the job of choosing where the hell do I invest my budget, it kind of takes it out of the way. And it really makes it a lot easier, kind of like the focus of if you're
Andy, another thing to realize is the best of the best will only see about 30% of a total market. Okay. The best, I mean, I'm talking the best of the best. You rarely will see 40% of a whole marketplace, right? That's like almost unheard of. But I mean, even doing everything right, you're still only going to get about 3 out of 10 people. Most people are down by more like 2-3% of the marketplace. That's where most people float at. So you have to realize that you are not $100 bill. Not everybody's going to like you. And about the best that you can ask for is around 3 people out of 10 in your market to do business with you. So when you look through that lens, when you shrink the world down a little bit and still realize that 3 out of 10 people in a market and in almost any market is a lot of people, then you can make more, you can have more courage. When you're not trying to be all things to everyone, and you're really defining yourself, that's where the one big idea comes in, and then you differentiate based off of that. That's when things will happen for you quicker, bigger, so on and so forth.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Well, we got 2 minutes left, so I'll close it out with introducing the next Wicked Smart webinar 2 weeks from now, same time as today. How to dominate your local market with video marketing. We have 2 amazing video experts with decades of video marketing experience talk about how to get your customers to say, I see your video everywhere I go, no matter it's online or TV. And kind of help get in front of your best customers with video, kind of the key components of what makes a good video, what makes maybe a bad video, and how to use video everywhere, because sometimes you can get it right in one spot, you don't really know where to put it. So Elon and Luke will work with us. They're both video marketing consultants with Midwest Family Services, and they'll help kind of take, now that you know your differentiator, now that you have a better idea of your message, they can kind of help turn that into video. And because video is kind of the new hotness of marketing, and has been a huge trend, has been moving for people moving. The biggest mover of dollars to a marketing tool is moving it to video, based on all the studies that you will see. So thank you for being here, Mike. Thank you for attending. For those that decided to join us today, we really appreciate your time and your energy, and look forward to seeing you next time. All right.
All right. Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you, everybody. Take care.